Hey everybody, Nick Livingston. On this week's Honeit podcast, we have Marissa Campbell from DefineHR. Marissa joins us from Canada. I think we met maybe 2 years ago, Marissa, and we had kind of a funny story of getting started with Honeit. We can get to later, but Marissa is the founder and Chief Headhunter. I think I love that you use the term headhunter, but has a good long career in recruiting and delivering great talent. Marissa, welcome to the Honeit podcast.
Thanks, Nick. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, I kind of teased out that initial story. I think you had come to Honeit early on, and then there were some hiccups, and then you came back. I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about, where we first met and how you kind of first heard about Honeit.
Okay, it's been over 2 years. It was
Okay,
quite
it's
a
been
few years ago. I started with Honeit. I actually have never wanted to use a tool so bad. I live in a ski resort in Canada called Sun Peaks, and we only have one service provider for internet. And at the time, there were some glitches. So I know I've been working with your tech team. Shout out to James. He is awesome. And I've really like whined to him so many times that I want to use this tool. We ended up getting it fixed, and I am here for the long run. I love Honeit. So happy to share that.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's great to hear. But yeah, I remember it was something I was like, where are you up in the mountains where you can't get service or it's not work? But yeah, I think James went deep into that. I think got into like the jitter and the packet loss and started analyzing all the VoIP and the video signals and things like that to try to get to the bottom of it. But so yeah,
I'm
so
sure he was sick of me. I'm sure he was sick of me.
no, we're great. It's great to have you. But Marissa, I know you've been working in recruiting for some time. Celebrating kind of starting your own firm, Define HR. I know you do really good work. I know you've got a great online following and are pretty vocal on LinkedIn, which I think is great. I couldn't help but notice you kind of shouting out loud the term headhunter, which is something we don't see a lot in this space. A lot of times people, don't want to use the term recruiter and things like that, but I thought it looks like you're leaning into that. Maybe talk to me about why and maybe why you're putting that forth on your profile.
Yeah, so I am definitely a headhunter. I want to bring that word back because I know a lot of
There you
people
go.
are comfortable with it. But in the agency world, you could just be a recruiter and not know how to headhunt. Posting jobs, posting and praying, not my thing. I actually find candidates who are a fit for my clients. I specialize in placing engineers and technical professionals who have an electrical, mechanical, or chemical background. And I only work with so many clients under an engaged term, exclusivity. And I fill all the roles I get, but I'm not just looking at the quick fills. I'm not looking at just the active market. I'm looking at the passive market, meaning those who are maybe ready for their next challenge, but they're currently working. They're not responding to job ads. So I really tackle the roles that I pick up and fill all of them. I love headhunting. It is strategic. When I first got into recruitment, it was putting bums in seats. I actually didn't even like recruitment until I started working for an agency and learned how you can strategically do it to be very successful.
I love that. Yeah, the hunt, right? It's all about the hunt and the strategy that goes behind that. What are you having proactive conversations with people who may not be actively looking, but try to kind of understand where they want to be going? I think that's the other thing when we search profiles or we search resumes or LinkedIn, it's like everything's historical, what they've done versus maybe what they want to be doing. How are you starting to uncover or play matchmaker or hunt folks that aren't, say, active and then figure out when you have the right opportunity or connect the dots later,
Mhm.
let's say?
Yeah, so Nick, when I first started, I actually started as a generalist and I learned to specialize when COVID hit. It was really hard. It was like 2 years of very little work. And I've only been in business for 6 years. So what I started doing was talking to those within my niche. Now I'm at a point where it's hard to jump on a call with everyone who asks, and I know I'm losing out on opportunity to network. So I've really pushed to my network as it's grown to over 20,000 followers now. To those engineers or techs that have the experience that I'm looking for to add themselves to my open to opportunities link in my profile. And I review every candidate who goes through that. So if I foresee that there's going to be a future opportunity or I'm working on a current role, it's easy for me to reach out and have a conversation. I just got off mat leave too, so I feel like I'm starting all over again. It's always been slow for me in January and February, and
Mhm.
then March really picks up. So I've been working on a project. I've been building a list of hiring managers where I share candidates who I believe are 5 stars once I
Okay.
meet them and have that conversation, because I likely will be working on similar roles. So it's an email list that's going out. It's fun so far. I just started it. So if there's a hiring manager who hears this that is looking for talent that I may be working on, uh, reach out. I can add you to that email list. But I get very creative, as you can see from my LinkedIn profile. I'm very active. When I reach out, I often get referrals through candidates. I get to know those who I connect with, and I try to bring value, to make sure if I do move them forward, it is truly the right fit. And if it's not, there may be a future opportunity. So I'm an advocate for not just my clients, but my candidates. It's really
Well,
important.
that's great. I mean, so you can have more well-rounded or kind of open conversations with people if you're not always talking about a very specific role with a specific client and a specific, like, right? You can be a bit more aspirational, and then having that list of potential clients or prospective or engaged hiring managers that are willing to, take your recommendation and consider a candidate when they don't even have a job technically open. I think that's also a really smart business move. I mean, so maybe you could just say again your key specialties. Like, what are the kind of engineering focuses that you had mentioned?
Yeah, electrical, mechanical, and chemical. I do a
Okay.
lot in the automation and control space. I
Okay.
actually use Honeit for these emails that I send out too, because I can blind a candidate so I can protect their identity. A lot of the roles I get hired for are senior. Headhunters are usually used for senior, hard to fill roles, and often that comes with those who are really confidential. They only want to jump when the right opportunity comes available. So that's one thing I really like about Honeit is I can actually hide their identity, protect them. And if there's a client who's interested, I'll go to that candidate and say, hey, I have this client. Are you interested in me sharing? Put together a contract, and it could be a huge win. And then these emails, I try to provide some value as well. So hopefully I answered your question there.
Yeah, no, I
Electrical
think
and
that's great. I love I mean, it's funny, a lot of times, recruiters are working on a specific role and then we're going to market, but if you've got all that trust and relationship with the clients built up over the years where you can talk to great candidates and then think about who they'd be great fit for, it's more proactive. You can, again, share those short list. Do you do the short lists ever? Do you ever do the blind short lists NPCs or just one kind of one-to-one candidates? Maybe we could,
well, I just started this email list too. It's a project I've
okay.
been working on. So usually I'll share 2 candidates with Honeit. So the
Okay.
presentation, and then I'll share some insight into the market or into the recruitment industry to help uh, potentially future clients, right? I want to be top of mind for when the opportunity comes up. I know hiring managers are getting bombarded with recruiters. As soon as they post a position, a ton of recruiters are reaching out. I'm trying to create a niche, and I've been tempted by my recruitment partners. I don't always work alone, but I have a lot of really good recruiters who work throughout the US, and they're like, you should come work here. The fee's so much better. That's great, but my network has become so powerful in Canada that I hate using this word, but if I can recycle someone who may have not been the right fit for one role, or there was just competition, but they're amazing, like that's incredible if I can get them with another
Yeah,
client.
the runner-up candidates for one company might be the gold star first choice for the next one or for the right
Yeah.
size or So yeah, no, that's a really great way to think about it. And yeah, I think the other thing with the NPC is it's funny. It's like being on the internal side of TA. It's like you post a job, and same with the hiring managers. Recruiters are getting inundated. Internal TA gets inundated with recruiting agencies saying, "Oh, I just spoke with a great candidate," right? They'll all say, I just spoke with the perfect candidate for your role, but they never kind of include the resume or they never include some evidence to say they really did just talk to in your case, you're actually sharing a blind candidate presentation link with sound bites and insights. And it's like proof that you did just talk to someone. And so I'm guessing that they pick up their head and they respond to you maybe more than a general blind. Hey, I just spoke with again, how do you deliver trust? First
Yeah.
first touch. Is it?
Yeah, and they could also see what kind of roles I'm working on. So as I work on roles, anyone who's like a runner-up, who's incredible, who I feel confident in, I can put them in a presentation. And it could be a win-win for everybody. Plus, when the timing is right, they can see how I present candidates the quality and they can reach out instead of me reaching out constantly. It's business development isn't always fun. I'm getting better at it and I love having the conversation with new hiring managers, potential clients, but this is just another way of doing it while I work on roles.
Well, you've always been, even before you could technically start using Honeit, the location and the telecommunication thing, you've been pushing the limits. I've been really impressed to see, the ideas you share with us, like the thoughts, ways to use the platform in new ways, the MPC work. I know some folks are doing reference calls and things like that. So I don't know if you've been doing any of those calls to the platform, but I also, I think it came up the other day where you've got that call to action on your LinkedIn of like the opt-in for the candidates. We were thinking that could be a really interesting application of our new AI pre-screener. I think you had talked about, James, where, let candidates kind of quickly introduce themselves to you, captures it. You can then interview them and submit them in seconds and, build that into your workflow right from the call to action button on LinkedIn. So I thought that was like super clever. And if we can help you with that momentum or that pipeline or that workflow, I'd love to think about that. So
Yeah, I'm really excited about that because it gives an option and it's not for everyone. I know engineers can be quite quiet and not confident
right.
in putting themselves out there, but if they have the skill set and they can really show up even by a quick video, it's easy for me to remember a face in a conversation if I can see them visually. As opposed to just a resume. We see resumes all the time. So I think it can make them really stand out. And I definitely try with my content that I put out to make people feel comfortable because interviewing the job applications are not comfortable. They're busy doing what they do best. I see resumes all the time. So if I can help give some ideas on how to do job search better, that's kind of why I started posting in the first place. But that's another topic.
Well, that's great. Yeah, pipelining, and it's funny. Like historically, recruiters are working for the clients, right? And you're getting paid by the client, and so it's been hard to take calls from just recruiters or candidates who aren't kind of a perfect fit for that. But your style, I mean, and this other way of looking at it is, wow, you can have conversations with, more variety of candidates, perhaps where you don't have specific roles, and then if maybe if they're not a fit, you can give them some advice or give them some feedback and help give some career guidance and coaching. Or you can, if they're good and they do check a lot of boxes in terms of transferable skills and things like that, you can present them and the clients who trust you can consider them. So I think it's a really interesting model. It's almost flipping the value prop, right? And giving
Yeah.
candidates equal value in the flow too.
I will
So
be clear though, as my network grows, there's more noise and it's hard to connect with everyone. So that's why I push them to my database because I will see them there. I could do Boolean search as we call it, which is keyword searching in the headhunting world. And I can find them faster if they're active on LinkedIn and in my first degree network, as well as my confidential database. So that's why I created that because I cannot jump on a call with everyone who asks, it's really hard to say no because I have some who I've jumped on a call with 4 years ago who are now becoming clients. So I'm losing out on opportunity, but I am one person. I can only do so much. I do have recruitment partners that I partner with on roles. So I do have a bit of capacity, but being able to get my individual time, it's not always easy. But I try.
tell me a little bit more about your workflow nowadays. Again, kind of how are you differentiating? We
Mhm.
talked a little bit about the biz dev and strategies for biz dev and getting new clients. I think that's a challenge for a lot of recruiting companies is getting the recs. Once you got the recs, kind of what is your workflow? How do you stand out? How do you differentiate or keep up as a team of one with all of the things
Yeah.
you need to do?
So why I got into working for myself, I never ever pictured myself as an entrepreneur and starting my own business. But the agency that I worked for previously to starting DefineHR, I had a client who loved the work that I do, and he knew that I was moving and I wasn't able to work remote. Well, they gave me the option. It's just I kind of went with it because he put the bug in my ear, like you can be very successful with doing this on your own. So I moved out to Sun Peaks where there's only so many opportunities, started my own business, but quality is really important to me. I got a lot of comments that, like, I know there are these candidates out there, but recruiters just throw resumes at me and they're never the right fit, and it's so time consuming. And I think that's just because of the contingency world where, we work for commission. We're going to work on the easiest to fill role and put the hard ones on the back burner. So I want quality. I want to do things differently. I only work with so many clients. two to three, I like to say, but realistically 3 to 5 if I use some of my recruitment partners. But I start with a full role review that's 90 minutes. I do a few exercises. I use a platform like Honeit, which provides so much more value, especially at the senior level when a candidate can speak directly to a hiring manager. You can hear their voice. I am an HR professional. That's my background. I am not an engineer, but I'm working in a space where I am learning the language. I know what are transferable skills. I have those in my network who are going to be a fit for the role. So it's up to my client to really give me the ammo to target the right people. So I require jumping on a call at least once a week. I work with my clients as a strategic partner. Things come up, but as long as we're jumping on a call on a strategic basis, I'm able to pull what they're able to adjust on. Or maybe there's a transferable skill I didn't even know. So I can target the right information. I look at competitors. My tools pull phone numbers and emails. I do domain searches, so I'll guess off of a title if I have to. And I try to get to as close as possible to what they're looking for. With this comes a lot of time, and I work exclusively with my clients. I charge a small engagement fee that is deducted once the role is filled. But candidates really trust that I have the right roles because if I don't know the answer, I'm jumping on a call with them next week quickly. Let me find out. I can keep you confidential until we can kind of really confirm whether you're interested and comfortable with me revealing your identity. And because I work in a niche, I have candidates who will refer me to people. They want to help because they know I might have an opportunity in the future. So it's amazing. I love what I
That's
do,
great.
and I
So
wait for the right
are you
time.
having your intake calls? You're doing your kickoff or intake calls in Honeit so you can search them later or review them later and things like
You
that?
know what? I haven't been, but since
Okay.
coming
Yeah.
back from my leave, I've been playing a lot more with Honeit, and I am doing it now. I think
Okay. Yeah.
there are a few features that I'm not using, so I'm really excited about it because I should have spent more time before. But before my mat leave, I was so busy. I was so busy. So
Well,
now
no,
I've
try
got
it. It's
more
we're
time.
seeing a lot of we're hearing a lot of great feedback from folks using it for their kickoff or intake. And then again, you have all of that data searchable. And I think in your format too, if you're talking to a candidate that's looking for XYZ, you've got all of your intake calls indexed. You could maybe search your intake calls for hiring
Yeah.
managers who've talked about needing this thing, and you're actually doing the reverse search, not for candidates, but you're searching the intake calls and then playing matchmaker. So I was thinking that might be interesting with your flow. And then do
Definitely.
you, for your screening and submission workflow, I mean, since you're doing, is it confidential? Are you able to share insights from your conversations or how do you present your candidate?
Yeah, so when I'm working with a client on engagement, so I call it an engaged search model, I give everything. So I
Okay.
share with them everything unless I have someone who is highly confidential, who's like, I'm not sure, Marissa, it's a small
Yeah.
industry. So I work electrical, mechanical, and chemical, but I try to only work with so many clients in each industry because I want to be able to reach out to anyone. I think it's bad business to poach from your clients. So I think there's a benefit of using a smaller agency. I have other recruiters who have other databases too, and I can reach out to them. I jump on calls once a month so I know who's working on what. So it's amazing to collaborate with other recruiters. There's enough work for everyone. So I have that option to go to if I need to. Um, but yeah, am I answering your question? I kind of forget.
No, you did. I was just, yeah, curious about your delivery. It's funny you mentioned that too. I was thinking I worked for at a startup where the CEO had a clever idea. He's like, he gets so many agencies reaching out to him. He's like, wait, what if we just sign them all up and they sign our non-compete or non-poaching clauses and we just sign every agency and they can't poach our people and then we just don't give them recs. I was like, it's kind of messed up, but that's a good anti-poaching
Yeah.
strategy if you don't want. But to your point, yeah, if you're working only with one very specific domain and you can't poach from half the people, that can be challenging. You're limiting your.
Yeah, I've had some engineers who have been with my clients for over 3 years now, and they're reaching out like, I might be ready. And I'm like, I can't. Even though I haven't, like, if I haven't worked them with them for even 2 years, I still feel like uncomfortable because I really get to know my clients really well. Like, I have a really strong relationship with them. I'm always keeping candidates on my radar for them. So I think it works well. I love having the control too. And yeah, working with other agencies as well. I have had clients come to me for roles that are outside of my niche, like civil engineers. I have my go-to recruiters for that, where I can still support them through my brand and quality, but have other recruiters who are better fit to fill those roles. I think recruitment industry is changing so much. And if you have a niche recruiter, you're going to be so much more happy with the results that they're going to deliver versus someone who's a generalist. But that's also another topic.
That's kind of where I was going to go next is just, kind of where do you see things going? I mean, you're already optimizing much of your workflow, but not only on the business development, but also on the delivery side of things. Where do you see tech going? Where do you see, your focus going, or where the industry might be shifting with, new AI tools, new technology, threatening to replace recruiters and things like that? What are you seeing?
I don't think there is a threat to take over recruiters. I think there's a lot of recruiters not using the technology properly. You still have to personalize message. Every tool that I use that has a bit of an AI component, I'm still looking at every candidate I reach out. I'm doing the manipulation when I need to, but it does help me move very quick. But there has to be that personalization. I think candidates can spot when it's spam, when it's scammer. Like I just got a scam done to me. Someone's impersonating me right now, and they're using my.
I saw that on your LinkedIn pro. You made like a comment or something or post about
I
it.
feel
Yeah.
so uncomfortable, and I know I can't control everything. They're using a fake email address. They're not even using my legal name, so they're using my maiden name for their email address, and they're adding my LinkedIn profile URL, which is great because I don't work on marketing roles. So when candidates go and look at my LinkedIn URL, and I don't work overseas.
You've got a phantom sourcer out there giving you leads, candidates
Yeah,
clicking on your profiles, and you're
I
doing
was going to
database.
change my URL, but I'm like, hey, it's just going to push my LinkedIn algorithm anyways when these people come to my site. But I've had a few candidates reach out saying, hey, like, I don't think you have this role. It looks like you work with engineers. And so that's good. They've marked them as spam, but it's uncomfortable that someone is impersonating me and actually using my link. I'm like kind of uncomfortable with it. And I don't want candidates, like job search is already hard enough. For someone to get scammed for information is just so unfortunate. So I did put out that post to help educate those in my network that
Yeah,
you want to look at the email completely. Does it make sense that they're reaching out from a Gmail account? Like I'm an incorporation. I'm not going to send you an email from
right.
a Gmail account. Yeah.
Are you seeing anything? I mean, we've heard recruiters, and this might be more of a issue with internal corporate recruiters who do just like post a job and getting mass applicants and they say fake candidates or people are applying at masses or then the different people are joining the interviews. Are you seeing any of that kind of stuff in your work since you do outbound, more so outbound than posting jobs? Or
No, because when
yeah,
I do post to my network every now and then, I try to hit the passive market for a few weeks, then I'll post if I need to. I think it's good to look at both active and passive. But the thing that I do is I encourage my engineers or techs to jump on a call so I can see them via video. And the
yeah,
reason being is I want to be able to remember them. So I think that kind of filters out those who are potential bots, because I'm seeing you.
video calls,
Not
yeah.
all engineers are comfortable with that, and that's fine, but that's part of the process, and I really encourage it. And most at the senior level are comfortable with meeting me. They want me to keep them on their radar, my radar, if this opportunity doesn't work out. So it works really well. I usually work on the senior roles too, so they're a little bit easier with their comfort level.
Yeah, I think I've seen most issues with kind of those entry level or full stack engineering jobs that are remote, right? And they're just kind of like you're kind of advertising remote, right? And then it's people from anywhere, everywhere, and it's kind of tricky to manage those. But
Mhm.
um, Marissa, so we're kind of winding down. What advice would you give to someone who maybe had a good career in internal recruiting, external recruiting, but might want to start their own firm or is thinking about building a business, around themselves, betting on themselves? Any advice or things to think about, or things you've learned that you can share?
Yeah, it's not easy. I did not know what I was getting into, and I do truly believe you have to have a niche to give that value and be successful. Um, I did it without having a lot of experience in the agency world. I've done a lot in recruitment, but I only had 2 years in the agency world, and it wasn't nearly enough. COVID hit, and I worked a ton of hours. I have a family now. If I started now, it would have been very, very hard. So follow those who are successful doing it solely. There's a lot of those out there. There's a lot of networks too that you can join, like NPA, but I mean, you have to be 3 years in business, but following those who have been successful solely, because they're the ones that are giving that advice. Even there's like the relevant recruiter. I'll do a shout out to them. I don't think they call it, or a marketing now they call it. Amazing. Like they've helped
Yep.
with marketing and even helping with my confidence and how to present myself. It's just nice to have that third party. Don't reinvent the wheel. Follow like the Elite Recruiter podcast. I'm sure you know Benjamin
Yep.
Menace.
Yeah, of
I
course.
have not met him personally, but I love that podcast because you can hear from others and their experience. Many of them will say, like, you won't take off right away. It took me 2 years. I started when COVID hit, but I didn't have consistent, and I'm still not super consistent because I'm not for everyone. I do require that exclusivity. But if you keep building, you keep putting a foot forward, be willing to fail, learn from your failures, you will get there. But it is not a quick business and it is not easy doing it alone. And that's why I have recruitment partners that I can partner with. That's why I have a marketing team through Aura Marketing, because I need to focus on my roles. And in order to be successful, I have to fill them. So yeah, follow podcasts, just keep moving, don't stop, and get uncomfortable. That's the biggest thing. I never ever thought I'd be posting on LinkedIn, and now I'm super confident. I feel like I have something to say and there's value there. You got to show your value. The right clients will come to you. So
Well, we've enjoyed working with you. I know you're from a technology standpoint, you're really pushing the limits on, how you're using our platform, and it's very fun. I've always, again, loved your thoughts and feedback. We're excited to show you some new things coming up soon. So stay tuned. But Marissa, thank you so much for joining the podcast. It's been a pleasure. And, I think it's so fun to see, independent individual recruiters building businesses, scaling themselves has always been a kind of a challenging thing to do recruitment. And I think you're right about there is a great community in recruitment. It's a fun profession where you're learning about business, but there's also good people. We're also kind of pro recruiter. I want to keep the recruiter and the humans and human resources and such. So that's kind of our mission. But you're right. There's networks out there. The Hire EZ has a great recruiter therapy session, right? Where it's people venting just because we're all, everybody in the space is, challenged and things are changing so quickly. But yeah, you're right. Find a mentor, ask questions. Most recruiters are willing to chat and share. So thanks for sharing here, Marissa Campbell.
yeah, it's been fun, Nick. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. Well, everybody, where can people get a hold of you? Either clients or candidates that might fit any of those engineering disciplines. What's the best place to reach out to you or connect with you?
Check me out on LinkedIn. I'm very active on the platform, and you can check out my website. I'll be updating it a little bit more here in the near future. But yeah, you can reach out to me. My contact information is on LinkedIn. So
Okay. We'll link to both of those in the podcast. Everybody, Marissa Campbell, thanks so much for joining, and we'll talk soon.
thanks, Nick.
Take care.